All right, good morning, everyone. Let's make sure I'm in focus here. Looks okay. Morning, Kathy, Jennifer, Jackie, Lisa. Everybody's joining. We had some issues with the invitation link email today, so I have a feeling this is going to be kind of a light day. People are probably going to watch it after. No worries. Show must go on. What show is that? That is Breakfast with Disaster. We're here every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. with one simple mission in mind. We want to tell you about all the worst things that can happen so that you can avoid them. And how do we know what those things are? My name is Dan Bauer. I'm with ServPro of the Southtown, ServPro of West Seneca, Lancaster. We make disasters like they never even happened, and we've seen some doozies. So we are here to help you prepare, I guess. Today, though, I want to help you to understand sort of a scientific phenomenon, actually, with the best science brain that I can wrangle at 10 in the morning on a Tuesday. Um, it's about something called weather whiplash, which you have experienced yourself if you live in Western New York over the last couple of days. I want you to consider something, even if it's kind of painful to consider. Sunday was a beautiful day. We were just under 80 degrees Fahrenheit. People were ecstatic. They were in shorts. They were grilling hot dogs. They were walking the beach. Many, many, many dads on many, many lawnmowers all over the region. It was like summer had come early. The sad thing is, tomorrow it might snow. Snow, actual snowflakes. I'm not talking like a blizzard or anything, but we've already seen that weather already drop off from 80 degrees to a low of 31 potentially tomorrow, which could lead to some snowfall, which is going to be pretty depressing. And it probably offends your sense of justice, right? Unless you're watching this in sunny Florida and you're just laughing at us, you are probably thinking that doesn't make much sense. And that is really tough to deal with. How dare summer come early and tease us, and then now we're back to shivering in our cars. Um, this is a cliche about Western New York, right? That the weather's constantly changing. You don't like the weather, you wait 5 minutes, you're going to get something else. But it certainly seems like these wild, wild changes are happening more often, and they're becoming more pronounced. And that's true. Um, we're seeing higher highs, we're seeing lower lows, and we're seeing wetter wets, drier dries, and all of this fluctuation is happening very, very rapidly, especially this past winter. There's actually a term that they came up for with it, and it's not really a scientific one, but they call it weather whiplash. And you know why? Because you're snapped into 31 degrees after 80 degrees. It's going to hurt. But what exactly is that, and how does it affect us? That's what we're going to dig into today. So, we're going to take it first to NOAA. And they provided us with this handy little graphic we'll get to in a second. NOAA is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They actually study the weather here in the United States. And they have been studying weather whiplash, and they found that this winter, 2021 to 2022, was actually very bad for it and very telling. Um, Over the entire United States, right? And we're going to look at this from a national perspective first. This winter was found to be the 18th warmest on record. They have been measuring this for 127 years. We had the 18th warmest winter that we've ever had in that time period. But the weird part is, if you look by month breakdown, it's a ton of variance. December, yes, December 2021, the warmest on record in that entire period. But January and February, right in the middle of the pack, 64th and 65th coldest months that they've measured. How can that be? Well, that's weather whiplash, and we felt that here. Um, if you saw the news recently, you saw that Buffalo was declared the snowiest city in the United States this winter. Um, but we also had the warmest December we've ever had. What's the deal? Same thing in Denver. Denver in December saw zero point 0.3 inches of snow, the lowest on record. By the end of February, they'd hit their second highest record snowfall. San Francisco, kind of the opposite. 16 inches of rain, October to December, their sixth highest rainfall ever. January and February, under an inch, 0.65 inches. Cold to hot, wet to dry. That's what this whiplash is, and it's happening everywhere, not just Buffalo. Why does this happen exactly? That's what this graphic is for. Experts say you can compare it sort of to a bouncy house. If you step into an inflatable bounce house, which I'm sure none of us have done as adults, right? You step on the floor goes down, and it goes up somewhere else. It's a great way to bounce your friend into the ceiling. The same thing kind of happens with weather patterns. And that's what this graphic shows. When you go that ridge, that wave pattern in the jet stream goes down. You have cooler, more dense air in an area. You're going to see warmer, less dense air somewhere else. You press down, it goes up. And what we've seen in this past winter, and what we've continued to kind of see, is a lot of those pressure down, pressure up, a lot of that in a row in very extreme ways. And so you have situations where you have 80 degrees on Sunday, 30 degrees on Wednesday, and that's just the life that we live now. We deal with that snow. That's what that whiplash is. That's where it comes from. And that's certainly kind of what it feels like. And it's not something that these sorts of things have certainly happened for centuries and centuries, but this sort of frequency is kind of new. And I guess the key question here is, should we be worried about this? What kind of effect will it have on us, under the purview of what the show is, which is disasters, right? What are all the disastrous consequences of something like weather whiplash? Because it's obviously annoying. But is it going to have greater implications for our ecosystem and our infrastructure? The answer is yeah, potentially. It's certainly less problematic than it is in like California, right? Where you see now flash droughts and flash rains, things like that. You see wildfires. Thank goodness we don't live there, right? We live in Buffalo. It's not quite so bad. But one phenomenon is so bad that we actually kind of have a name for it here, and that's sudden freezes and thaws, which I found out relatively recently, being a Pittsburgh transplant, are called buffalo heave. You see basically higher levels of rain, higher levels of moisture, etc., come into, say, the foundation of your house or your sidewalk or your newly laid concrete. Water seeps in, suddenly freezes, thaws, and as we all know from fourth grade science class, water expands when it freezes. So then when it thaws, it causes cracks, it causes damage. This is a very poor illustration of a house foundation suffering from some heave. You can see this on our break walls, on our lake, all over the place. This sudden freezing and thawing is going to affect our infrastructure. And it affects our ecosystem too, right? A tree might be dormant for the winter. They have that 80-degree day. All of a sudden, they come out of dormancy and then immediately go into a freeze again. You're going to see more dead trees, potentially falling into power lines. You're going to see an effect on vegetation, things like that. But buffalo heave is definitely going to be a bigger issue over time. And in a smaller way, we see this inside our house. And to bring this back to SurfPro, it's the same phenomenon as you see when your pipes freeze. You see that water freeze, it can cause pressure inside of that pipe, it expands, and then when it thaws, it can cause it to crack. And pipes can burst, they can cause huge amounts of water to flow into your house. And because these weather patterns change so fast, they're really difficult to anticipate at this point. You could be going on vacation for 2 weeks. Lucky you, right? But you could see freezing and thawing 4 or 5 times in that period without any real notice. And unless you have somebody in your house checking on it, or you have a water monitor or something like that, you may not know something like this happens. You might not have known to expect it. You might have thought it was smooth sailing while you're down in Florida, and that's not really going to be the case. So, weather whiplash, yes, annoying, yes, potentially damaging. Right now in our lives, it's not the sort of thing that's like of an like epidemic nature. It's a lot worse and a lot more damaging in coastal places like California, but it's definitely something to keep in mind as we see our weather patterns go up and down. They can lead to all sorts of nasty disasters, big and small. So that's depressing, right? And all I can really tell anybody to do is prepare for emergencies, maintain your house, and hope for the best. Let's go to the prize. Let's go to the fun part, right? Let's get snow out of our minds. Let's remember Sunday. Let's draw a prize. So you guys know the deal if you've been here before, and I've got to check and see who's here. Jennifer, Kathy, Jackie, Jennifer again, Lisa, Betty, Lynn, Kathy. Hey guys. Like I said, it's a lighter day today because we had some issues with the email invite link, so I appreciate you guys being here. If you've never done the prize drawing before, very simple. I'm going to draw a prize on this year's prize wheel. Let's bring it up. Everybody who's on the SurfPro Mug Club has a number written on the bottom of their coffee mug. And if you don't have one already, contact me. I will get you one. If I draw your number, you get a prize. And if you're watching and I draw your number, you get a double prize. And the only way for me to know if you're watching is for you to comment, say hello, say good morning, say, I can't believe it's going to snow, whatever you want to say. So I'll give you a second to do that. Right now I'm going to spin. shall see who it is. And we've had a lot of new additions here, so wheel's getting bigger. Let's see. Morning, Michael. Morning, Lisa. All right. Where are we at? 157. It's an early one. Kathy! Kathy! I know you're here. It's your day. That was not a rig. Kathy Bell's, everybody, one of the OGs of the Serve Pro Mug Club. Actually, kind of her idea, if I'm being honest. Is our winner today, and she's definitely going to get that double prize. Kathy, I will call you after this. You certainly deserve it. Congrats, Kathy. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We're going to hop off for now. We've got big day ahead of us here at Serve Pro, so I got to pop out. But, Kathy, I will give you a call. We will find a way to get that prize to you. In the meantime, everybody, have fun with the snow and the cold, and cross your fingers for warmer weather soon. I'm Dan from Serve Pro the South Towns. It's been a pleasure. Avoid disaster as best you can. See you guys.